Welcome back. WeArEuS and this. This is not where we ended off last episode. What in the world could have happened? I don't know. Where are we? What happened? I kept playing. Partially because the Ranger is so incredibly one-dimensional and boring that it just doesn't really... Playing the Ranger through the several levels we did last episode was extremely boring for me. The augments don't really change much. The mages just felt so much better. The bar was so high with the mages that the Ranger just feels like it has nothing to offer, at base, at least. So I kept playing. I expected to die. Instead, I ended up at level 14 at the final boss for the Citadel mission. 5 dash charges, 5 potion charges. And yes, I made it through the nightmarish realm where the enemies are nothing but lights and it becomes a bullet heaven. Yeah. And of course, as you see for my armaments, I'm using the crossbow. Because trying to fight those things in melee range is, in fact, the dumbest thing you can possibly do. Unless you have either absurd evasion, which we don't, or a ton of lifesteal, or some sort of extra healing that keeps you from just getting burned to ash. The Ranger doesn't have any of that. No augments that contribute to health restore. I don't, right? Pretty sure I don't have any augments that contribute to health restoration. Yeah, just for mana cost, and that's if I crit, which... Also, this skill, I honestly, I wish I was still playing I wish I was still playing yesterday. Because yesterday I entered the zone and I could just feel how to properly play this. And now I'm rested and it's so many hours later and I no longer have that feel. So, just on that alone, we might end up dying. We have 5 potions, and I try not to use those until I'm down to about half, depending on how the damage we've taken has been. If it looks like we might end up getting bursted at 25 HP or 25% HP, I'll just heal at half and call it. I don't know how much. I'm pretty sure the potions heal for 200 for this guy right now. If you want to see, these are all the materials we have. Between stuff in town and stuff gathered on this run. Also, along the way, we've picked up a number of the maps like the one I tried to run last episode with the lightning sorcerer, that just was such an awful feeling. That the lightning sorcerer is so bad. It's just genuinely bad. But that's not a problem for now. I'm not worried about the mages unless I end up getting another one. We also have apparently 9% evade from gear, I'm guessing, which is fine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just from the stuff we have equipped and not from any trinkets. Could be, I don't know. Doesn't really matter either way. Alright. Okay, that's... Okay, so it doesn't fire unless I use the left. Right. You know what's really weird? There is a time limit, or there is a duration to the effect of this thing once it's applied to enemies, and there's not a single augment to change that. That seems like an extreme oversight for something that's so critical to your damage output, that there's nothing that augments that. I mean, sure, it's a duration buff for it isn't groundbreaking or anything, but neither is this guy's base kit. He is so dull that his class promotions have to be the wildest thing in the world. Because remember, it's only going to add one extra skill and maybe one passive. Either way, we're going back to town. Will it be high on life, or...
That skill's not yet ready.
I have to remember he does the dot damage. I love not being able to basic attack when that's all the damage that I have. I tried to dodge, and I couldn't. Yeah, we're going back to town the hard way. I mean, I could probably run around and buy time to just regen. Oh, by the way, I have discovered that the arrow, or the projectile... Are you serious? Right. just going to let my regen do its thing. Or yep. That felt absolutely freaking awful. And I tried to go into my inventory and switch to the dual blades because at least I'd have the extra. It doesn't. You already saw all the stuff we had. I tried to go into the inventory when there was a slight window and swap my stuff, but it's. I messed up. So that's part of the reason why we're here. Make no mistake, it wouldn't have made much of a difference in the first place, but I would have at least liked to have seen. I mean, the Ranger is not fun. Magic shop. I don't know what this is supposed to mean, so I'm going to just buy it. I mean, I've got all of the resources for it in spades, so. Lowers the cost of applying multiple buffs, but I don't want to spend the crystals. Tempting. Unlocks another blessing. I don't imagine there's going to be anything they can offer that I'm actually going to want more than what I'm currently running. Unlock rare blueprints for enchants. Common. More upgrades for your potion. I don't see that really helping. Like I said, if I had tried to fight that guy yesterday when I was playing after ending the recording, maybe I could have beaten him. But man, that was a super bad time. Okay, focusing on what we're trying to achieve now. I guess we'll do that. I can't really see anything else that I really want right now. The bow that's in here requires strength, and it isn't particularly strong. What is in my inventory? I need slightly more dexterity for that. And then I'm going to need a one-handed weapon. That's not... I would rather... Do I have a dirk in storage? That's basically okay. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to try and attack with both of these to see, since I know the attack speed for the dagger we're holding is going to be a lot higher, so there won't be a lot of opportunities for the crossbow to actually be fired, which is a problem. But let's see anyway. holding down both. Yeah. No. No. The crossbow is actually... It's the strongest weapon I have, and it's bad. It's bad. Right, I should put all of this other stuff away. Deposit. Probably going to sell that. Right, so I did pick up a number of pieces of equipment that have the return physical damage taken. It's that helmet and this shield. It's probably going to be pretty useful for the paladin. But I'm just trying to I'm going through the fight with the boss in my head, and I'm wondering just how much further we could have gotten if I'd just been using the dual blades instead. Whatever. Put that away. Junk to sell. Right, I did want to put this on. Using. And that's not too bad. Wait, I think upgrading is it the magic shop or I think it's the enchanter that lets me increase the rarity of equipment. But at the same time, that could also be detrimental, depending on what buffs are on it. Oh, right. Wouldn't have mattered. I'm not going to put these away yet, because I might end up... There might be a class promotion that benefits from using them. This can go, because we won't be fighting the totem anymore. I think pretty much everything else is either worth keeping for now, or worth selling. So... I really wish the highlight for this was clearer, so I know for certain where we are, and that I'm not about to accidentally sell something I'm trying to keep. It's 4% crit chance, and he really does want that, but... We're probably going to run a couple of maps first, using... What's his name? The Warlock. Only because, 1, the ranger is trash, 2, his level's too low, and 3, he's trash. We should probably do that before looking at the class promotions for this then, right? But let's make sure there aren't any... Okay, that's got good damage. Yeah. I'll take that. Let's go ahead and equip that. So it has Mighty. It's getting Sundering from its secondary. I'll just call it an enchantment. So Crushing just gives it more raw damage. See, I can see value in the Crushing enchantment because, well, the Mighty enchantment, because if he actually had other skills that did damage that was worth using, they would gain benefits from the extra weapon power. But those skills are too restrictive, and one of them is too restrictive, and the other is just plain clunky. With the mouse, with the controller, anyway. With mouse and keyboard, it probably would be fine, but not particularly great. Regardless, I don't see any value in adding an element right now. So since I have Mighty, I don't want to use any crystals. So I'm actually going to leave that. Let me check these things over here first. See what maps we have and how high the levels are. For feat equipment and epic two-handed equipment. I mean, maybe we could do the sorcerer, but the warlock stands to be just plain better. But that also entirely depends on whether we get augments that let us heal. If not, it's going to be a bad time. If I use the sorcerer, I'll keep my distance and will just perform better in general. The warlock is very dependent on the augments you get, and more dependent still on getting very specific ones in order to be as effective as he needs to be. The only issue with the sorcerer was that I was running the trash lightning promote the class. I still don't like how it works with that, but I was running the lightning class with the last one. I think I'm going to go with the sorcerer because he's a lot easier to properly outfit. Yeah, he's kept most of his gear except for the armor that I left on you. I want to deposit that for a little bit. Okay, sure, whatever. I think everything else we have equipped is preferable. I haven't looked at the previous video yet, So I don't know if we had equipment in our inventory when we went into the instance dungeon last episode, but I'm still very, very concerned by the fact that our inventory is completely empty. I usually have a bunch of junk in there. I'm sorry, what? I found maps. I know I did. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and put that away then. I could have sworn I picked up 2 maps when I was using the Ranger yesterday. I don't understand. Okay, we'll be looking at the class promotions a lot. Actually, I should probably look at those first before I decide to spend points anywhere. Alright. Brace yourselves for what I'm assuming is going to suck. Because it would have to be incredible to make up for just how dull the Ranger is. So, since I have no particular hope for any of this to be any good, we will start where we start. The Warden is our first class promotion on offer, and it features the active skill Entangle. You conjure roots to sprout in a large area around you that lingers for a duration. The specific duration scaling from 7 seconds to 11, by the way. Enemies in the area take physical damage and are inflicted. They don't know that the word afflicted exists. Are afflicted with cripple, which isn't particularly interesting. It would have to be a pretty wide area, and then it's probably going to be something that it probably has the same system for targeting as the first skill, which is not great. Then we have the Windweaver passive. Weapon hits unleash a gusts with an S of wind in a forward direction, dealing physical damage, but it has a cooldown of 0.15 seconds. Why though? Like, actually, why? So let's see what this has to offer, at least in terms of performance. So it triggers on the target hit rather than... And it's less of a gust and more of a wind blade, but I guess who's keeping track of the thesaurus, right?
I can't do that yet.
Okay, that's interesting. So he fires 2. edge off. It looks like the gust itself deals damage to the target that's hit. I am also not a fan of the fact that we're only doing 59 damage with this. And 67 with the buff, or the marked effect. Oh, right, we also... Oh, it's just in an area around you. The cooldown for that is very, very long. Why did it last so long last time? I'm trying to keep track of the number of damage ticks it does, as well as that doesn't last any length of time. It literally only lasts as long as half of its cooldown. Remember when I said these classes would, these promotional classes, these advanced classes for the Ranger would have to be crazy? -1 potential. So, we move on to the Marksman. Starting with the active skill Rain of Arrows. A staple of archer classes everywhere. Sure, let's continue. You launch a barrage of arrows into the air that strike the ground in a forward direction, dealing physical damage. This does not fill me with hope. There's a 10-second cooldown, which is something, I guess. The damage starts very low. I don't know if it can do multiple hits of damage or not. But we also have the archery passive. The movement speed penalty for using bows is reduced by 20% at base up to 60%. And you deal increased damage with bow skills. I mean, I guess. Let me check. Yeah, so the duration does scale, but the cooldown is still 20 seconds. Now, yeah, I will have the buff from the potions and food, I think. That will decrease that, but it's not going to be a good time. It's not particularly good for damage. Its damage ticks at half a second, lasting for 7 seconds. That is not good. It's not good. Okay, so yeah, I was right. The gust passive actually was doing damage to the target itself, which is fine, I guess. I really should be doing like 100 though, right? Let me... I don't know why they don't just let us equip 2 crossbows. I mean, I know why. I really should change the enchantment on this, but it's not worth it. Yeah. Now the vulnerability from this would be pretty good to have. That combined with the mark itself, and then the scaling you get if you can crit, it's pretty good. Get evasion, attack speed. Yeah, it's pretty good. Maybe I should get on the sorcerer and see if we can get a better bow. We need something that's on the level of these, which is to say level 21 equipment. Then again, I don't know. I think those dropped while we were doing a run, so it's unlikely we're actually going to see anything that good, because the shop only drops them up to, or the shop only provides equipment up to high level 18, I believe. Oh, right. We also have the skill for this, so... Oh, that's actually all. Now, keep in mind, the button for that skill is on Y on the controller, which means you actually have to stop. You not only have to stop, you then have to re-aim and then use it. Also, for some reason, it just stopped here, which is interesting. That could actually be incredible DPS for certain bosses, assuming it works that way. Yeah, it literally won't go past this. So if that were an enemy, that'd just be pure damage. Unfortunately, in any other case, it does that, which is not useful to anyone. I can see a use case for it, where you lure bosses to the wall, maybe? But of the bosses I know of in the Citadel, I mean, this would be good against the faces. What are they called? The ritualists is what I call them. Against the ritualists, that'd be fine if you can get the angle right. I mean, if you can get things to line up properly, you could get some really disgusting DPS. But you're talking... I really do wish that the Ranger's class, his advanced classes, augmented his base abilities in some way to make them less one-dimensional. I hope there's another bow class, because I have to be honest. the Ranger class is a very poor representation of an Archer class. I mean, it's got all of the basic stuff, sniper things that make your enemies vulnerable to your attacks, the traps. That's great. But it isn't good. Right, and I do have this for... Now, I could use the bows. I could upgrade the bows, or I could upgrade the crossbows, which are just better. Granted, they're better because their eye level is 21. So we figured something out for the marksman, at least, which, you know. It's not too bad, I guess. And then on to Beastmaster. Now, calm your tits. I know, it seems like it should be great. And I would love to hope along with you. But I know better than that. Regardless, here we have the Beastmaster, featuring the active skill Spirit Wolves. It's a passive that deals physical damage. You passively summon a wolf companion to fight by your side that attacks nearby enemies, dealing physical damage. It has 800 health at base. It deals 60 damage. It also has a cooldown for when it dies because it has health. So it's basically just a worse Warlock. See, the Warlock, his summoning class, or his summoning advanced class, has creatures you can actively resummon with no cooldown, while also having an unkillable gargoyle summon that deals really good damage both at range and up close. I noticed this a long time ago, but it seems like there might just be a mage bias amongst the devs. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame them. Magic is cool. But the Ranger class feels like it got stiffed. Warden has potential. Right, I should go back and test Warden with the higher damage crossbows, see how that feels. You know what's really criminal? The damage dealt by your skills does not scale with your weapon power, or your weapon damage, or in some way like that. So it feels particularly bad. But I mean, we are just using it's not a punching gun. There's a proper term for it, and I'm a little distracted right now because I'm pretty sure my groceries outside and it's been really warm, so I want to go and get, or at least check. I have to look at my phone and make sure, but I'm pretty sure these should scale with spell power. I have spell power equipment, so I can check. Yeah, the stuff's outside. So, okay, let's move on to the... Why is this called an active when it's passive in the description? We'll find out, I guess. Then... Oh, okay, that's my mistake. I'm looking at Spirit Wolves, the active, and then reading the Wolf Companion passive. I'm an idiot. Doesn't change what I said. The Wolf Companion passive can die, whereas the Warlock's Gargoyle, as far as I can tell, I don't think it can die. Maybe it can. I don't remember it ever dying, though. I might be wrong and it can. I can literally just go and check. But if I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong about that. That's perfectly fine. It sucks because it would be better if they couldn't, but whatever. So, back to the Spirit Wolves. We have a physical ice spell in Spirit Wolves where you unleash Spirit Wolves that seek out nearby enemies, dealing physical and ice damage on impact. And it also has a 4-second cooldown, and this is your DPS. Now, you need to max it so you get the most out of it. You literally get 1,400 damage at base. Assuming I'm talking about when you're using this against a boss, because that's the only thing that ever matters for me. How does this perform against bosses? Because I would love to get past the Citadel mission. For once. We were close with the Warlock. I ran out of potions, died. It happens. Also, I was taking a lot of dot damage and I didn't realize it at the time. I also don't think I had the augments. No. That was before the class advance? Before I had the class advances, or any of the advanced classes on it. I think. I don't remember. It's been a while since that particular episode. This could be okay for bosses. The cooldown's going to be much lower once we're out in the field. The Wolf Companion is a non-concern. Getting this to about 160 is fine, because there won't be much of a difference between 160 and 180, but the difference in ability point cost or skill point cost is going to be high, so it might be preferable to stop at the level 3 upgrade for this and then worry about anything else later. Well, let's see if this is disappointing or not. I didn't realize training dummies. That's what they training something. Okay, I didn't realize that. I like the part where I can't control who he attacks. I'm trying to get him to... That's... So does he focus on whoever's closest? See, the issue is I need control over who and what he attacks and when. Also, I do note... I noticed that he also has our crit rate, which, for this guy, I don't believe is particularly high. Crit chance is only 12%. And because I don't know how they're calculating the percentages, as I said a long time ago, some games use percentages with the 100% being a base and then everything else being calculated on top of that. So I don't know if weapon crit damage has a 100% base or 0% base. So it could be triple weapon damage or just double. Actually, I do know, because he only crit for 177. That's yeah, that's definitely 3 times. But they don't use percentages like that everywhere. I've tested it before, I'm sure of that. Alright, anyway, let's test the Spirit Wolves, that's the name of it. It's pretty good. Let me see what this would be like. Doesn't affect his damage, so I don't imagine it will affect. Yeah. It does give the spell a crit chance. I don't imagine our weapon crit chance won't affect that. Yeah, that also doesn't give us our passive, which is fine, because that guy does. Do I have something with spell power on it? They also deal ice damage, so I could leverage that with some ice penetration on it. I don't think I have the ice penetration enchantment. The armor pen from my weapon doesn't affect his damage, which sucks. I'm trying to see if there's a stack limit to the poison, but with this idiot also attacking the thing, it's impossible for me to tell. It went up to 22 damage per tick. But the stacks fall off so hard. Oh. 10%. So I'm probably not noticing any difference in its damage output because I have Sundering on both of these. Nope. Isn't affected by Sundering. Got it. I have nothing that increases spell power. What a terrible world to live in. Really tired of hearing that sound effect, by the way. I do want to check one thing with the marksman. The Spirit Wolves might be okay. The Beastmaster might be okay. But that's going to be a an investment dependent. Well, there's also the augments for it. Right, I left my stuff outside. Let me go get that really quickly. Alright, so now that we're back, I wanted to test this. Of course, that's going to rely on spell crit. That was 88. Twenty spell power costs us 8 damage off of that. How much are we getting from this hit here? 27. So it's around 10-ish% for 20 extra spell power. It's not. That is some rough scaling. We can do. We need at least 60 of this, 2 more of that, and we can keep the rest for now. Is the scaling for this thing 12% of dexterity? Keep in mind, I could dump some points into some skill points into this in order to increase the Is it just damage or is it base attack? Let's actually see. So the bow only deals 63 damage. Though I could fix that if I gave it the mighty enchantment. No, it has the mighty. I think it's crushing. It's one of the two. Anyway, it was 63. With investing in this. So it doesn't affect its base damage, but its final damage. The 5% only added an extra 3 damage. Now listen, I know we've spent a lot of time here just thinking about how, or just talking about the guy's extra classes, or his advanced classes, but he sucks badly. If you watched the run last episode, he's boring. And he sucks. There's no way around it. He's boring and he sucks. And his advanced classes don't really help. I mean, I am actually so underwhelmed by his advanced classes that I'm actively considering running anyone else that we haven't used before. The Paladin, the Warrior, I think those are the only ones remaining that we haven't actually used yet. This is the Sorcerer, right? I just want to make yeah, okay, so I really don't have, that's upsetting. So I'm going to re-roll the shop a few times. Just was going through my head if I had already done it or not. I'm going to re-roll the shop a few times just to see if we can get him a better bow. Frankly, anything would be better than the one he currently has. I think it was green anyway to start with, so there is that working against it, but I hate that I spent the dust on it, but moving on. I'll be right back. So, let me just check. Now see, by the way, apparently there are two types of dual daggers. There's dual daggers, and then there's heavy daggers, which don't seem to have much of a difference. I don't know why these exist. Maybe they have a wider range? I can't imagine that being the case. I want to get them, but for some reason, we're poor. I don't know how that happened, but that's certainly something. Okay, so I went and did the thing as the sorcerer like I said I would, and these are the things I found. A scorching recurve bow. Good damage, so that's pretty good. Very, very nice. The stout cloak. You'll ignore what you just saw me do. Don't get your hopes up. A stout cloak which has health on it. We have the stout enchantment, so that's good. It's green, so if I enchant it, or if I upgrade it at the enchanter, it'll get 2. There's a term for it, and I can't remember what it is, but it'll get 2 enchantments, 2 brand new ones. So I'm hoping it gets something good that I don't have the ability to enchant it with, especially on the second enchantment. And then we have the chilling heavy crossbow. The chilling part isn't relevant or particularly useful at all. What we're here for is the explosive shot. Fires an armed bolt that explodes upon impact, dealing 150% weapon damage. Now that's obviously going to have a cooldown, because if not, it's going to be very, very good. However, this is a weapon that requires strength. In exchange, it's a 2-handed weapon, like bows, and unlike the crossbow, or the light crossbow, that is one-handed, but you can only use one of them. I assume because the devs hate us and don't want to see our DPS flourish, but that's fine. So let's take those and see what we can do with our stats to get the heavy. I mean, we can just respec and remove the unnecessary stats. I have enough, right? I literally have just enough. No, just under enough. Oh, good. I can get them all back for raw money. That's great. That's great. So this requires 38. And then that's also going to scale our armor pen, which is great, and give us some extra armor at base. I think this was at 60. But that leaves us without the extra intelligence to equip the other thing, which is fine, basically. We basically have the exact same stats as before, except for the extra strength. Wait. Yeah, weapon, crit chance, and crit damage. As well as spell powers on dexterity, which is rough. Because the heavy crossbow is a lot better than the light one because it has its own secondary ability. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and equip that. It was also that bow, right? Yes, we can do it and then see. So, enchanters over here. Upgrade. I don't remember what's on the powerful cloth. That's for the extra spell power. It was this, right? Ascendancy. Bonus damage against elites. That's not bosses, though. Not great. The gold gain is more valuable, but back on there. Also, the headgear that we're wearing. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's do cloth of precision. Ooh, 5% crit chance. I don't hate that at all. So, let's see. We keep the crit chance, which is good. That's probably what the precision is. Could give myself extra strength. It would be good if I want to say that would be good if the heavy crossbow scales with strength, but that's worth... It would depend on what our base damage is. But it's worth about a 10% increase in damage. Prefix and affix, isn't that it? But that doesn't really fit here because it's made up of multiple words, not just two. Anyway, right. This, and we don't have any of these kinds of enchantments yet. Frostbite. So if we put ice on here, it would actually... With the Frostbite enchantment running the Frostbite enchantment running the Beastmaster class might actually be good. Might be all right. 10% isn't much. And it's the only one I have. Just put more physical damage on here. The dot damage would be good. Actually, I could do that for the dot damage. It's giving more spell power, which is not good for our damage output with it. You kind of have to get rid of the powerful enchantments. So to me, it's between Scorching and Crushing. This guarantees our damage all the time, even against element-based enemies like the ones in the levels right before the final boss of the mission. Wait, before I do that, let's actually see what its damage is compared to the recurve bow, which I'm pretty sure has about the same base damage. So let's see. So 110. Recurve bow has slightly higher damage. Ah, that's the issue. See, the powerful heavy crossbow, or the heavy crossbow. Hold on. Right now, against this particular target, the heavy crossbow deals 110 damage. And that's low because it doesn't actually have bonus damage on it right now. That would push up its base to 80. So it would do what this one, no, it would do more, it would still do more than the recurve bow. I would rather that this bow attack slowly and do more of its damage. We have another bow in storage. This one only does 60%. This is a strength version of the bow. And it only deals 60%. I don't like that. Bows are not good weapons. Especially considering the stack fall off for the dot damage is freaking brutal. But anyway, hold on, what if I... Anyway, the stack fall off for it is kind of rough. It also doesn't go through targets. The base damage for the damage for the basic attack is garbage. The crossbow is where it's at, obviously. We're having absolutely no scaling whatsoever for it. It does a lot of damage. I do want to see what the vulnerability does for us with this. It just triggered on the first shot. $116 without the bonus 20% damage taken from invulnerability. For a 15% chance, that is rather common. Doesn't seem like so it doesn't really push the damage up that much higher. Actually, it does. Never mind. Because we no longer have powerful on the headgear. I really wish that your abilities scaled with your weapon damage when the character deals just weapon damage as their primary source of output. And mages dealt spell power damage with all of their stuff, even if it's the weapon. And all of it scaled with its appropriate stuff. Whereas we've got mixed scaling between your weapon damage and your spell damage. Your skills all do spell damage, even if their damage isn't elemental. So they scale with spell power, but not your weapon damage. So no matter how powerful your weapons are, if you don't have spell power, though you do get some, and I mean some, through your base scaling for your preferred stat, which is dexterity for this guy. I wish things worked the way I said. where everything that dealt magic damage scales with spell power, and everything that deals physical damage scales with weapon power. The way it works now, I mean, yeah, it allows for the possibility for hybrid classes that can do both spell power and physical damage, such as the Warlock. But even then, the majority of the Warlock's damage is just spell power. The weapon damage you deal is incidental because you need to do that as part of the stacks you get for his passive. That's just extra damage. That's not your main damage with the Warlock. So even with the possibility of creating hybrid classes, it's not the way things work now. I mean, it works, but it's not as good as it could be. So this crossbow is good for the extra damage. Speaking of which, that's not what I wanted. So 160 per shot. That turns into 467 damage when I crit. In exchange, it requires that I actually be super close to the enemy, which doesn't work with the final boss. I didn't realize that had ice damage on it. So I'd have to pay attention to the cooldown because for some reason the explosive arrow does not interrupt the basic attack, even though the basic attack is slow enough to allow it. Okay, sure, whatever. Increases your bow damage. I mean, the extra 25% would be all right. The damage output of that is inconsistent. Sometimes it deals 3 ticks, and then at the very end there, I think it just kept dealing ticks of damage until it went away. There's no consistency there. See, and then there, it just did a burst of damage. It looked like it did 3 hits all at once. Also, apparently, any projectile triggers the gust passive, which is interesting. Because I don't remember the name of this. This skill penetrates every single target. So that's just multiple triggers of gust for free. I don't know how it would treat the explosion for this in spawning gust. If the explosion hits multiple enemies, will it spawn multiple gusts or just one? Is it being triggered by the arrow or by the arrow and the explosion? The damage is 2 stacked, so I can't tell if it's triggering once or more than once. So as far as the tier list of the best of the advanced classes here, it's basically, remember, I'm always focused on how things perform against bosses, not against chaff enemies that you are going to eventually literally just walk through. In terms of, in the order of best to Ranger tier, we have Beastmaster, Warden, and Marksman. Yeah, Warden is better than Marksman, but only just barely. They're close enough to nearly be sharing a spot. But because Windweaver actually deals extra damage to the target as well, it has a leg up. In that it increases your DPS as a result. So it sucks that its base damage is so low, because that means its spell power scaling is going to be terrible. And I mean, I'm only assuming spell power scales percentage-wise, or scales ability damage, skill damage percentage-wise. It could just be raw numbers. In which case, you're looking at like maybe point something. It won't be 5. Probably 0.2. Since the increase at 27 was... I sure hope it's percentage scaling. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, Beastmaster, Warden, Marksman. Marksman can reach Warden's level if you use the active skill against a wall or an enemy that is treated as if it's a wall or an obstacle. If you had something that could act as an obstacle, then the Marksman would easily become the best, because then you could just drop the rain of arrows and DPS off cooldown while firing your weapon for its basic attack. Now the issue here is I don't know which of the only 2 good classes it has to offer I should go with. Beastmaster is... And remember, the ranking was only... With the ranking, you have to keep in mind, these classes are not good. They're better than the Archer, than the Ranger at base, but they're not good. I mean, look at it this way. Remember how, aside from the Warlock, who I used mostly off camera, I'm pretty sure. Remember how with the Sorcerer, I grabbed a class and I went, right? But that was also with the Sorcerer, I did do that mostly off camera as well. And then I used the Ice advanced class for the Sorcerer, and that just changed my entire mind on the ranking for them. But the point I'm trying to make is these advanced classes are so underwhelming. I'm still in town rather than out on the next run through the mission, because I'm trying desperately to figure out a way to make the Ranger not merely not boring, but also not suck if by some miracle I make it to the final boss again. And we are going to stop eventually. The video is going to stop eventually during the run, and I'm just going to keep going because I don't want another situation where I get to the final boss and then I stop and I come back and I don't remember the flow of combat with this class. See, right now, I still remember how it feels to fight the boss, the final boss. Crap, and I can't even skip the face either because I'm going to need as many chances to get augments as humanly possible. Because what we're mainly going to be going for is the advanced class augments. Crap, and I still have to test all of the other classes, despite how underwhelming they are, because I need to see how their augments treat them. Though I can get a sense of it at the right before we start a mission. So I guess we're using the Warden now. I guess. So let's see what we get here. So, healing wisps. The roots spawn wisps that attach to allies entering the area, restoring health for a period. 2% health per second for 5 seconds, up to 6%. Yeah, you definitely want this at rank 2 or 3. 3 preferably. 2 is mandatory. To the point where if you see that come up, because remember, the main issue I had with the boss, I had to be too close to the guy, and I had no way to out-heal the damage he was doing to me. But having a 30% health heal, a 30% heal, no, that's an awkward way of putting it. Having the ability to heal 30% of my health every 20 seconds, which is going to be cut down with the potions and the food, or the drinks and the food, as well as I think it's the drink and the buff from the chapel. Between those two, we'll have a low enough cooldown. It could end up being as low as 10 seconds, which is pretty good, right? Since the cooldown does still tick during its active time. So yeah, it could actually be pretty good. With that in mind, and I typically don't like doing it this way, but preferably, I would like to do the run without knowing what the augments are going to be for the new class's skills. But the Ranger's just so bad, I have to do it this way. I have to know if they're actually worth taking out in the field. deals additional poison damage. So it gains a damage increase of 25%, or 25% of its damage. It gains 25% of its damage as poison damage, which is not good because the base damage for this is low. Isn't it 20? Okay, so obviously, the obvious choice here is healing wisps. If you can also get poison ivy, that's fine. Because I say that because with the sorcerer, you couldn't get 2 elements for the base skill, which sucks because being able to hit a wide spread of enemies and be able to hit them multiple times would have been extremely funny. You basically be able to shotgun an entire group of enemies and hit them multiple times if they're close enough. Oh, it would be great, but that's not the world Hammerwatch. That's not my or that's not this version of Hammerwatch. Anyway, on to the passive, we have Winter Winds, where the gusts of wind deal additional ice damage, which is fine because the gusts actually, I think the gusts are the one that deal the 20. Yeah, okay. So the gusts from this passive do 20 damage when they trigger. The roots for this deal 40. At base, anyway. Okay, it's not bad. So this is actually going to be worse with the additional ice damage until you get it up to rank 3. And then it's at least on par with its base damage. Whereas this is, you unleash several gusts. Oh, that's garbage. I mean, you do have an augment that lets you gain. Yeah, that's garbage. There is an augment for your other passive that allows you to gain. When you get hit, you gain a dash charge, which is a good combo with this. But it's better to work towards this as an augment. Start with it and then work towards big game hunter later, or as soon as you can anyway. As far as the traps are concerned, I don't think I should bother getting those unless they are the best option available, because he's got some. I'm just going to say some of his augments are duds. Like this, for example. No, that's just no. Okay, let's go back, change the advanced class to anything else and see what glimpse of their augments we can get. I pressed every button but the right one for switching that. Shame on me. And yes, I know we're still in town and we haven't actually played the game. This is a significant part of playing a game like this. I'll just say. I wanted to say rogue. 50%. The impact area. Increasing the impact area. Okay. I do see the value for it in mobbing. But that's completely worthless. I need this thing's DPS to increase. So what do you have to offer? The arrows are followed by a sequence of lightning strikes. I would have to see how this performs. I know I would love for the way that this works to be that each arrow triggers lightning. So each time it hits, it's just 100% of your skill's damage is also being dealt as lightning damage, just doubling DPS. That'd be great. The way it's going to work instead is that as it goes, it's going to trigger 1, 2, maybe as many as 5 individual lightning strikes. That's what I expect. Because the other thing would just be too good, and we can't have the Ranger even approach being decent. Then we have Fast Shot, which increases the skill speed with bow skills. Why? Okay, that's going to be with bows. I don't know if that even is going to work with a crossbow. Why would you want that? Is that supposed to affect your attack speed as well? I would assume so, but I mean, this is only good if it works with crossbows, because crossbows could really use the attack speed boost. If it doesn't, it's a dead augment. It's not worth anything. Because it's not going to affect your actual spells, because that's what the game considers them. Your skills are considered spells. It's not going to work with your spells. So this is only going to work with your weapon skills, which is the basic attack and the alternate fire, which means it's not going to be worth it. Frost arrows is the other augment we can get. Your bow skills gain a chance to trigger a frost explosion on hit, dealing ice damage with a 1-second cooldown and a pretty low base damage and chance of occurrence. I mean, it's AoE damage, and with an actual bow and not a crossbow, you could, well, don't forget, the crossbow bolts also penetrate enemies, which is fascinating because you would expect the bow to do that and then the crossbow to have some silly trick shot stuff as an alternate ability or something. I mean, at least I would expect that. I don't know what you guys would expect personally. But, let's see. First, we have Relentless Hunters. The Spirit Wolves gain a chance to seek out a new target on hit, which is similar to the augment for the Ice Sorcerer. That's just good. It's not great against bosses, but it's good just the same. Then we have Restless Spirits. You gain a chance to unleash a Spirit Wolf when killing. That's just good. That is just really good. Now that I take a split second to think about it, the rankings for the advanced classes are probably more along the lines of Warden and Beastmaster are probably on the same, in the same rank. And then, what's the other one? Marksman is probably 3 ranks below those two in their slot. So those two are in 1. Marksman is in 4, if it's lucky. And then we have just one augment here for your passive summon. I'm sorry, why are they saying wolves like you have the ability to have more than just one? Is this implying that they're holding out on me? Because if that's why there's only one augment here for this, and there better not just literally be one augment in this game for the wolf. However, because it deals so much damage at base, at least last time I saw, it might not do 101 anymore, but whatever. A base of 25% ice damage that's good. If it's still dealing 200 or 100, that's an extra 25 damage. It's just, you just stand to gain with that. I mean, it can die, and then it just doesn't do damage. So your augment does nothing for 20 seconds, unless your cooldowns, the skill cooldowns affect that. I wonder if skill cooldowns affect things that have an effect cooldown like this. And I mean, the effect cooldown here is so low as it is, you might not even notice if it is affected by skill cooldown. But I wonder, I would really love to know that. It probably wouldn't be worth, trying to build around. But having that extra synergy could be useful just the same. Okay, so between the three, yeah, Marksman is still so far in last place. Even with the augments we are able to see here. And there are going to be 4 more spread across the active and passive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I still have to sort out the weapon, and I am partially tempted to just end the episode here and then do a run, but because look at it this way. The only way, okay, I guess I could pause the recording, and then just go through the boring levels that we have to do. And I have to fight the face boss because I need every possible chance at getting an augment that I can get. Then again, hold on. If I go directly to the Citadel entrance and I fight the Phantom Mob at 3 candles lit, I get, I think it's 4 augments to choose from. 4 separate instances, I can choose 3 augments. That's what I'm talking about. But I get 4 augments I can select. But is that worth it? Because we're talking about upwards of 2 possible augments can spawn in each level. I don't think I've ever seen more than 2. So there's always a chance to get 2 augments in each level. Every map has at least 2 levels. Possibly for the later ones. No, I think they all have 3. The forest might only have 2. But later ones I'm sure have 3. And there's at least a chance, there's a chance to get 2 augments per level. Each map having 2. At least 2 levels. So if I decide to run the maps from the forest all the way through the face up to the final boss without using any of the skips, I stand to have more augments by the time I reach the boss, more augments and trinkets, of course. More augments and trinkets by the time I reach the boss than if I just do the Citadel skip. Because if I'm not mistaken, the Citadel skip sends you directly to right before the boss? The final boss? No. Not that one. It sends you to the levels that lead to... I don't know if it's the snakes or the 2 undead warriors, the warrior and the mage. I'm thinking it's the first one, where it sends you to the levels that lead to the... Is it Wardens of Dread? Is what the snakes are called? The undead snakes. So that leaves us... Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are right before the final boss. So I might be wrong, and it leads to... The Citadel skip leads to the warrior and mage skeletons that are the bosses. And then from there on to the undead snakes. See, I'm trying to plot out whether I should just do the long, boring run, or if I should just go with the skip, assuming I can actually survive the fight with the shadows, because that requires a good mobbing skill and damage output. Or good survivability. Well, those 2 and good survivability increases the chances of you surviving. I don't know what the rewards look like if you light all 4 and you succeed. The most I was able to do was 3 with the sorcerer, I think, while using the fire class. They really need to rename those advanced classes to something else. Just something ice, thunder, and flame related. Torch, blizzard, storm, anything but the actual elements they represent. Because it is awkward referring to the class names as the elements. Still, as far as the advanced classes, I don't know what we're going to go with. The obvious choice is to go with Warden for the extra DPS and the ability to heal, which I'm going to start off with. I say that, but I'm not actually going to leave yet. See, I still have to sort out what I'm going to do with the heavy crossbow with the recurve bow, which needs to be upgraded to the next tier, or the next rarity. I'm going to have to sort out what I'm going to do with my armor. Put some stuff away, probably, like this thing. I know I'm just not going to bother with it, so... yeah. So, I've got quite a bit of stuff. I wonder if taking damage triggers Gust, or triggers the Warden passive. I mean, it wouldn't make for a significant increase in damage output, but it could lead, if it were to do that, that would mean certain other passives would also be able to trigger off of it, which would open up some interesting possibilities. I can test that later, but I just wanted to pose that question now. So I'm probably going to invest some skill points into bow and crossbow damage. Just so, well, the crossbows would benefit far more from it. And I can always respec, that's right. So I'll probably invest in the crossbows because... Yeah, so there's decent range on this bow, or this crossbow. But I'd have to check what the range looks like on the normal bow. Anyway, that's side stuff I'm going to do off camera. What I'm going to do now is, like I said, handle some upgrading, test out weapon combinations with skills and other things that honestly I may as well just do on camera, since I've been doing it for the past hour and a half now, probably, maybe 2 hours even. But I'm going to set you guys free of my obsession with output and general class performance for a class that is just underwhelming. And that's being nice. I'm pretty sure I called it garbage earlier or something similar. So being nice about it now makes no sense, but here we are. So the next time you see me, or the next time we meet, we'll probably be at the boss, or the final boss, because I'm not going to drag you through the extremely boring forest where I just one-shot everything until I reach a level where everything takes more hits to die. I'm not going to do that. So once things transition, the frick? Why does everyone just... whatever. I'm not going to try and figure that out. And as promised, I have brought you forward in time. So you did not have to live the past, I'm going to assume, 4 or 5 hours that I have spent playing this game. Though, I will say, you have missed out. So, before we get started, and honestly, I don't know how this is going to turn out. But let's go over what I've gone through up until now. So, as you can see, we are currently level 20. That is partly thanks to the fact that I discovered that the maps you get, when you find a map that one of the instanced maps or instanced dungeon maps they belong to that character rather than, I mean, logically it tracks considering that's sort of how all of it works. And then you can use the gear that character gets from those maps on anyone. That's fine. Because, I mean, aside from it being kind of annoying if you get a level 18 map and you're, 15? Level 15? You don't want to run that because you very well might die. Now, if your meta progression is as far along as mine is, you'll probably be fine for a while. So I was about level 16. I think it might have been level 16 with about 2% left before the next level. And so I had 3 maps. 2 for a bandit dungeon and 1 for a spider dungeon. There was 2 were level 18, 1 was level 15. The level 15 one was for shoes. I put those away. We'll have to wait until we get back to town for that. From the bandit dungeon, we got the chest that dropped was a one-handed weapon chest. And I discovered something fascinating. I'm assuming this is epic quality. Epic quality weapons have slightly better stats on particular things, or additional stats and effects, and bonus effects. And not at the top either, actually in the way the weapon functions. Take a look at this iron dagger here. 2 quick simultaneous slashes, whereas I'm pretty sure a normal dagger just does 1 slash. Then, it also grants you 35% extra evasion. Oh, and by the way, when you evade, you also throw a dagger that deals 100% of your weapon damage. Can you spell DPS? And yes, it is actually as good as you think it is. Because this particular class, the Ranger, doesn't even actually get really dependable evasion like the Rogue does. Oh God, I can't wait to get to the Rogue. Oh, I hope you can cap evasion at 100. I hope you can get up to 100 because I can see that being possible. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I actually ran the dagger for a very long time frankly, with the crossbow. I don't remember which of these it is. With the crossbow, this one, that inflicts vulnerability. Now, of course, the bonus effect of the vulnerability from this does not apply when attacking with the dagger, but it doesn't really matter, because at any point, I can just swap, and you know what? The evasion from the dagger is still in play. Granted, they can't get close enough to me because they just die before they do, but the spiders in that instanced map, they gave it a fair shot. Granted, they had a very hard time getting through the wolf summons. That's just too bad. Oh, right, speaking of the advanced classes, I ran each of the advanced classes in each of the dungeons. Yeah, that was risky, especially with the marksman one, because I played fast and loose with that. And what I learned was that what I've learned is the advanced classes make the the ranger more entertaining, without question. Part of that, though, is me managing trying to manage distance between myself and the boss or whatever it is. My cooldowns, my mana, while always trying to make sure that any of my spells that are off cooldown are immediately put back on cooldown. Not the trap though. I don't use the trap except just at random, I guess. I hate that I have 6 stacks of Shadow Curse. I know how it happened, I just hate that it happened. I actually got through the levels before this particular area, pretty quickly. Like, it was actually pretty impressive. Having on-demand burst damage that appears to deal its damage in a small AoE as well. Kind of good. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Like I said, the marksman advanced class I played fast and loose with. And by that, I meant remember, it has the arrow, is it arrow rain or storm or something like that? It has the arrow rain spell where, as you saw, in a forward line, or in your facing direction, it fires just a stream of raining arrows. I upgraded that so the base damage was at 100, so we'd actually be able to kill things with it. I used that the entire time. I would launch it and then just walk into a group of enemies and then just watch them vanish. Not all of them vanished immediately, but they vanished. And then I got the augment that also dropped the lightning strikes. That I believe we saw that one on the list that we can get when we first leave town. That is actually way better than I thought it would be. There are actually, I think it's about, while it's traveling, you're looking at about 4 lightning strikes. And then once the actual traveling stops, it just strikes that area, I think about 3 or 4 more times. It's pretty good. I have to admit, it is actually pretty good. Now, I did that trying to get the hang of it, because once I figured that out, I thought to myself, well, I can just use this against the boss, and shouldn't it just DPS? No, it didn't. Maybe it was because he was I took the advanced class I had no idea how to properly use into the level 18 dungeon. Granted, it was a level 18 dungeon full of enemies I've dealt with before, with a boss I already beat once before. Maybe it was just because he was level 18, but he did not take a whole lot of damage, or that's not exactly accurate. The damage it did by the time we reached the boss, and I'm just talking about the arrows, I have no idea what damage the lightning was pulling by that point. I think I had gotten the second upgrade, which gives it the 200% boost. Or maybe not, I don't really remember now. It's been a very long time since then. But I still did the fast and loose thing where, and make no mistake, the boss was actually really mobile, so it made things really annoying. But the damage we were doing with the arrows themselves, and I'm talking about just the arrow rain, was 225 damage per arrow. And yes, I did even try to lure the guy into or next to a wall so I could then just burn him down. Didn't really work out that well because he hit me and it hurt. And I figured I don't really need this kind of trouble, and I left. So I just kept doing that. I just kept playing fast and loose, shooting the arrow rain in a particular direction and then luring him into its path until he died. And that's where we got this. No, that was the last one we ran. That's where we got... Was it the two-handed? No, the spiders were the two-handed one. Yeah, so that's where we got this dagger from. Yeah, the shoes were the first one we got from the level 15. The dagger we got from the level 18, which you can tell based on its equipment level there at the bottom. And the crossbow we're using is the one we got from the level 18 spider dungeon instance map. Which did I... I think I ran... Yeah, I ran the Beastmaster class in that particular dungeon, and it netted me this. There were 3 other bows and 1 wand. No, not wand, staff. All of them with... Well, no, the 2 bows, even though they were different bows, they shared the same effect. But aside from that, 3 different types of weapons with 3 different changes, each with a different change to the way all of their abilities functioned. So for the staff was the ice staff, and the change it had was it would fire 2 projectiles for its basic attack. Its alternate attack was the traveling burst of ice crystals, but it would also trigger an ice nova. I really wanted that, but I also thought to myself, I'm not going to be playing any mages for a bit unless we get a new class. So I decided to pass on the staff in order to get something that might be useful for someone else later. And so I ended up, it came down to a choice between strength-based bows or the crossbow we have here. I'm not going to spoil what we chose. I'm instead going to tell you what the other 2 bows were. As I said, the other 2 bows were strength-based bows, and the one at the top was just a normal longbow. The one at the bottom was a war bow. A distinction without a difference, apparently, aside from the warbow having better offensive stats, but only because the other one had some sort of enchantment that didn't give it extra damage. The bows, let's see. Okay, so you know how bows suck compared to crossbows because their shots don't penetrate enemies? Well, the epic versions do, but it's limited to 2 enemies, which should be enough, really. So, both of the bows were, like I said, they shared the same changes to their base weapon skills. The alternative fire was the, I think, power shot or something. And instead of firing 3 arrows at full charge, it would fire 5. But according to memory, it would fire in a fan rather than successively. That's trash. So that's how we ended up here. Also, I wanted to know what bouncing armed bolt meant. Or, yeah. And this is what that means. It explodes twice, even if it hits something. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's perfectly normal to be erect right now. Just let it happen. Look down, greet it, shake its hand, head, whatever. Let it know you'll be there for it if it needs you, and you hope that it'll be there if you need it. Now, I don't remember what the shoes I put away did. Oh, right. None of them were particularly interesting. One did have the ability to give me an extra dash, and that reminds me I have this, which I'm going to put on, because I want that extra evasion. I'm going to be missing 11% extra weapon power, but that 5% evasion may end up saving my life. Yeah. So that's what, 69% evasion? So when I get hit, I get 35? Where are you? No. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so it's 30%. So that plus the 35, that leaves us with 74. It's fine. It's right next to 75, but I hate that it's not just a clean 75%. That would be nice. Anyway, so right now, it comes down to this. And by the way, every time I've done this run, I died. Like I said I would. This is not actually my first attempt to get here. The first time, I did something stupid and died. And as we all know, that's pretty much the only way I die. I die to something stupid. I think I can take him, and I die. And I don't really learn my lesson. I did pretty much the exact same thing this run as well. The only difference is I knew I could take him. Anyway, the main concern now is, do I go with the evasion setup? Because remember, we aren't running the vines, so we don't have the healing. All we've got are the 5 potions and our 5 dashes. And we're also suffering the ill effects of the 6 stacks of Shadow Curse. So we're not in a great position there. Oh, right. I also picked this up along the way. A Deadly Grand Lightning Wand of Sundering. It was just hanging out, so I figured I'd pick it up. I got this from... I don't know if it was the Heralds, or if it was the Snakes, whose names the name of which, they're considered one whole boss, but I can't remember their name for the life of me. I keep trying, and I keep running smack dab into the Heralds, which is the Skeleton Knight and Skeleton Mage. Also, when I got to that fight, at one point, also, you should probably, I have 3 wolves. They implied that it would be the case, and I believed. And it's pretty good. Remember, they have 1,000 health each. They die, for sure. But they make for very, very good shields. Anyway. What was I saying? Anyway, my main concern now is, do I go with the crossbow? Because I won't have the time to change during the fight. I just know it. Oh, I remember the tangent I got off to now that I see the wand again. Anyway, should I run with the cruel dagger and make use of the evasion to DPS the guy as hard and as fast as possible? Because even if I'm not actively using the dagger and I'm instead just using this crossbow, I still get the evasion and the extra evasion when I get hit. And I'm probably going to get hit because this has a very short range, unlike the heavy crossbow. And I'm pretty sure I checked, and the bows, the normal bows and the heavy crossbow have the exact same range. So I'm not missing out on anything there. So like I said, I'm tempted to run with this. But I really do like this. It also has 25% armor penetration as it's at or upgraded function or stats. So it's a tough choice here. Because if I play it, okay, if I start with these two, it becomes easier to just swap back. I just come down here and I only need to swap one weapon. If it turns out it's just not going to work. Also, don't forget the dagger has a 30% chance to parry, so I don't know which has priority, but I assume only one of the two can trigger, so. And even though it's just, remember, it's only one swing, or it looks like one swipe, but it's 2 hits. Because you're fast. Okay, I hope I do this right this time. Oh, I also rebound the ability. Wow, they made pretty good work of him, didn't they? Oh, it passes through them. Doesn't help to use them as shields then. He loses. Best part is I knew I could tank that shot. The thing he was charging up, I knew I could take it. But I killed him before he got it. and I was terrified the whole time. Now, allow me to pat myself on the back. I didn't expect the Ranger would be able to do it. Now, I knew the Beastmaster. So apparently, the best way to deal with that guy is to face him literally head on. And then when he tries to hit you with we only had one potion left too. Not great. And when he tries to hit you, you just sort of slip around behind him and thumb his butt. Worked like a charm. That and having 8 summons on the field. Well, the spiders wouldn't have lasted that long, so probably would have been 4 at most at any given point. Yeah, that's not bad at all, actually. Oh, and we get to keep all of the resources and money we made. +1 reroll. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Oh yeah, I found an epic trinket that would apparently there's an epic trinket called the Sands of Time that will decrease your cooldowns by 50%. Then, when you're using an ability, there is a 2.5% chance that it will just reset and you can use it again. Now, I didn't use Oh, congratulations. You defeated the Avatar of Shadows. This has unlocked New Game Plus for this character, and it increased the level cap by 5. New Game Plus represents a higher difficulty with greater rewards. The level of New Game Plus can be chosen in the mission loadout. Right, the spell... Spirit Wolves? Hey, I was right. I did not use that nearly as much. Look, like I said, I rebound it, so I can send it wherever I want, because it's now also on the thumbstick. That's right. It's made it so much easier. Now, I don't imagine it's going to be easy to do the whole simultaneous casting of all of your abilities at one time. But, you know, where it works, it might be fine. So I did upgrade the guild again, a pyre. But I wanted this. Ooh, upgrading the guild hall is going to be insanely expensive. Do I really need this though? I mean, it's cool and all, but as it is, oh right, I also upgraded, you'll see that the tavern isn't here. I upgraded the tavern. We can now have 3 drinks, which means I now get to have cooldown. I think it's cooldown. Yeah, it's cast speed, cooldown, and it increases your mana cost by 10%. That plus the Hair of the Goblin, which grants weapon crit chance and does it increase your dash cooldown or decrease it? I'm assuming it's a negative, so it increases your dash, increases how long it takes for your. We have 143 crystals. other drink takes care of the Shadow Curse well enough that I don't need to be worried about it. Also, 20% is not that good. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, oh. Oh, right. I've also picked up some from the instance maps. I've also picked up a number of blueprints. That's the word. And some of them were for enchantments. So now I can apply a lightning enchantment to any weapon. And I think there's something else. Still don't have anything for that, which is fine. No, yeah, the only enchantment we got was for shocking. I'm assuming that stuns when... I mean, I know ice slows the enemy, fire burns them, the best element. But what the frick? What the frick does lightning do? Anyway. How did you like the showcase of the dagger crossbow setup? Oh, I can also show off the shoes I picked up as well. Felt pretty freaking good, actually. I mean, from where I sat. So these are the shoes we picked up from the level 15 dungeon, which was the bandit hideout. Oh, right. I also have the rejuvenating enchantment for armor. So I can put mana regen on things, which I'm never going to do that. It's almost always better to have stats and then let trinkets take care of stuff like regen. Well, trinkets and augments. So, with New Game Plus, which is only going to apply to this character, by the way, kind of sucks, but whatever. With New Game Plus, this guy gets extra levels. 5 to be exact, which... I mean, that's 15 extra stat points and skill points. I'm not going to put any more into this particular class. But as you saw, just like I said with the rank when I ranked it, it's good. I mean, having the spiders didn't hurt, but the wolves carried up until we got this. I think we only got the spiders like the level right before we went to the boss. So we haven't even had them that long. The entire time, I think it was just me and 2 wolves, and then we got the third one at the end there, I think. And they hard carried by tanking all of the aggro, while I just did both things in the background. So let's see. I accidentally hit the potion. Yeah, I did use the warden. That was the one I was running when I cut away. So that's what I ran after that and died with. I mean, I never got the augment that would further upgrade the healing that we had gotten at the start of the run. So it was always piss poor, and it didn't really come into effect at any point, except for when I got minions. That was a good time. If they got too beat up, or if they went in a little too deep, I could just drop Entangle at their feet. They heal while they kill. I don't think I really. I mean, I still don't know if this triggers with each enemy hit by your arrow. We could check, can't we? No, it's literally just the one. Yeah. Well, answer that question. I'm sad now, but question's answered. Alright, so that is going to do it for us today. I know. Shh. No, it's okay. It's okay. Listen. We will be back tomorrow with another episode. I'm probably... So here's how things are going to go. This entire time I've been saying there are other games coming out and I'm waiting for them to be playable on my particular... I hesitate to call it hardware. It's so weak, it's basically software, but on my PC. So, one came out already. I don't remember the name of it offhand, but it's out already. I'm hoping to see it when I crack open GeForce Now after I stop recording, but I'll take a look at it, see if it might be feasible to run without GeForce Now. The answer is going to be no, so don't get your hopes up about that. But regardless of that, we've still got, I'm pretty sure I don't remember the name of it. It's supposed to be a Skyrim-like game, is it? Netherrealm? Never something? I know it starts with an N. But I can't recall the rest. That's supposed to be coming out right there at the end of the month. And I'm willing to bet that one will be on GeForce Now. Which means we'll probably end up playing that. But regardless of what happens, until we reach a point where we can actually play something without having to worry about turning the graphics down until the game looks like this, we will instead be playing this, which for me is fine, because next episode we've got to bring the rogue from zero to hero. And frankly, since it's my day off, I might actually just go ahead and level the guy to 10, and then we can just start a run with one of his advanced classes. And I hope they're good, because I really want to do just an invasion run. And that's definitely what we're going to do. This dagger has shown me the way. And I like it. And so, with all that said, we will see you next time.